We're talking about baking off camera, and we're talking about baking on camera. Hey, everybody, we're back with Zoe Francois in just a moment. If you haven't seen her show on Discovery Plus, I mean it, you absolutely need to. Check it out.
My youngest son, Charlie, I'm gonna bake him his favorite chocolate chip cookie. All right, darling child of mine, I will send you some cookies.
Thank you.
I think everybody has their perfect cookie. Some like them crisp in the outside, some like them softer, some like them cakey. Charlie likes a crisp cookie on the outside, soft and gooey on the inside. And so that's exactly what I'm gonna bake him. Voila, we're done. Look at that. Big chunks, little chunks, all of it's gonna bake together to make my perfect cookie.
Well, Charlie and I have that in common. I just kind of like all cookies. Season 1 of Zoe Bakes is now available on Discovery Plus. It's an easy watch. Please welcome back Zoe Francois. Zoe, I have to say, I love that. I love all of your episodes, but my favorite was the one with apples because you had Stephanie March, love her. You had apples, love them, and you guys wore matching denim jumpsuits. I love watching your show. I do. I want to know, you started filming this at kind of the beginning of the pandemic, am I right?
We sure did, yeah.
What was that like, having people in and out of your house and finding places to go and things to do? That had to be very nerve-wracking.
Well, okay, so first of all, this is the first time I've ever done anything like this. So this is all I know. I don't know how to do a show that's not in those conditions. And so we were very, very careful. Everybody was tested. We chose places where there weren't big crowds. And it felt really, really intimate and sort of this private moment that I had with a camera crew. And then it went out into the world. And so it was just this delightful time of getting to share my craft, which is baking. And then also my love affair with Minneapolis and St. Paul and this whole community. Like you said, I got to travel around with Stephanie March and many of my friends, and we visited bakers and farmers and producers and flour millers and all kinds of people who are producing the food right here in our community. And I got so inspired by them. And then I got to come home and teach people how to bake. So it's like a dream come true for me.
And Zoe, speaking of baking, you already have many books out. You have a new one coming out called Zoe Bakes Cakes. What can you tell us about that?
Yes, so the cake that I made for the fundraiser is based on recipes from my book, Zoe Bakes Cakes. And it's one of my favorite things to eat is cake. I feel like, you eat it for celebrations. Every big event has a cake, or just Tuesday. So, I feel like any day of the week deserves a cake. But more than that, I also wanted to teach people how to bake. So there's a whole cake academy in the book. So if, again, you're intimidated by baking or baking cakes, I'll teach you step by step how to move through it. So it's for every single level of baking. And it's just my sort of ode to cake.
It's good that you say that, because during the pandemic, like a lot of people, found myself wanting to do things with my hands because I was bored. And I got into baking, but the biggest problem, the biggest hurdle was just figuring out, you read a recipe and someone says, whip the butter. And I'm like, okay, well, what does that look like? How long are you supposed to do that? So if in your book, you actually explain that to people, this is what that means.
And also, I am such a visual learner, so
yes.
I feel like there has to be pictures. You have to see what creaming butter and sugar should look like by the end of it. So I have pictures throughout the book. It's why I love doing books that I can have tons of pictures in. It's why I love doing the show, because I feel like once people see me move through a recipe, they're like, oh, super, super simple. But until you see the tips and tricks that I've learned throughout my career, it may not seem that obvious. So that's really sort of the best moment for me, is getting to show people, and then people post what they're making on Instagram, and it's like,
Yes.
It's incredible to see their work.
Right.
So I'm having a blast.
I love that. I know we have to go, but I wanted to ask you, with season 2 just finished filming, we talked about
Yes.
Stephanie March joined you on season 1, my favorite. Is there anyone that we should wait for on season 2 that might be fun to watch out that joins you for some baking?
Oh, well, I have all kinds of, I have like all my friends, Sammy Wadi from Milk Jam Ice Cream, Stephen Brown from Tilia. There's so many people. Vincent from the Minicata Club is going to teach me some very, very French recipes with his 8-year-old daughter. So
Love it.
It was just so much fun.
Zoe, we can't thank you enough for joining us here today. Best of luck with the charity as well. And we can't wait to be watching season 2 coming up later on this year.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Zoe. Follow her on Instagram. Just search Zoe Bakes and catch Zoe Bakes on Discovery Plus.
That cake looked good.
Yeah, it did.
All
Yeah,
right.
it did.
We'll be right back. Ted has some reviews you don't want to miss.
I don't know how to whip butter either.
See? No one tells you.
Yeah.